While no one desires the passing of a loved one, it's a universal experience that touches most people's lives. How individuals navigate the grief of loss is as unique as each person. Yet, occasionally, the response of a family member to such a loss is remarkably beautiful and unexpected. On July 31, 2017, Staff Sergeant Fred David Brazzle, also known as Fred, passed away. He had been fighting cancer since February 10th of that year. Sadly, Fred died because of stage 4 rectal cancer that spread to his liver. He was only 37 years old. Fred's life story was beautifully written in his obituary. He was born as Alfred Brazzle on December 29, 1979, in Greenville, South Carolina. He had a typical American childhood, growing up and facing the challenges of adolescence. After finishing high school, he joined the military, serving in the United States Army. He had a successful military career, serving in Iraq and Korea on 2 tours of duty. Exploring different possibilities for his future, he briefly took some time off from the military to attend and graduate from the Mercuryhurst Police Training Academy. But although it was an impressive accomplishment and a worthwhile achievement to have under his belt, his love for the military called him back. After finishing his police training, he returned to the military, where he served in the National Army Guard for a stint and then went back onto active duty. He remained on active duty until he passed away, finally serving at Fort Carson Army Base in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Aside from being a military man, he was also a devoted family man. He was survived by many of his close family members, such as his father William Jack Brazzle, 2 sisters Teresa Brazzle and Tammy Hovey, all of Greenville, 3 brothers Rick Hovey of Greenville, John Rimmer of North Carolina, and William J. Brazzle III of Georgia. He was preceded in death by Ruth and Brazzle and paternal grandparents Robert and Dorothy Brazzle. But most notably was the family that he had built up himself. Upon his death, he also left behind his wife Kaitlin K. Brazzle and his 2 sons Mason and Millen Brazzle, all at home. By most accounts, he loved being a husband and father, and they certainly loved him as well. The closeness of the family was certainly captured on camera on many occasions, but few more summer than Fred Brazzle's funeral. One of the friends who attended the funeral was Alicia Elwell Potter, a photographer and owner of her own private business, the Potter's Hand Photography, whom he had met in South Korea during his tour of duty there. But she wasn't only asked to attend the funeral as a mourner, but also as the funeral's photographer. Honoring her friend's memory is one thing, but doing so while bearing responsibility to capture the moment for the family in mourning is a responsibility few would undertake. But undertake it she did, and her pictures of the family showed the beauty of the love for this husband and father taken too young. On Facebook, Potter used her business page to give her condolences to Sergeant Brazzle's family as well as a proper send-off. Her full message couldn't have been more perfectly phrased. On Monday, she wrote, "I had the distinct honor of flying in to be with an amazing family that is so dear to my heart. I captured every moment as they mourned and laid to rest a wonderful man who absolutely lived life to the fullest. He was a doting, loving husband to a woman whose faith had stood tall through the trials that they faced and possesses an unseen strength that few can boast of. He was an energetic and encouraging father of 2 handsome boys who will grow to be intelligent men just like their dad. He was a soldier, proudly serving our country until his health could no longer allow him to fulfill his duties. His smile is one I will never forget, and I treasure this sweet family and am so thankful we met those few years ago in South Korea. Fred, I sure hope I did you justice. Kate told me you wished I could photograph your family just one more time, and so I did. Rest in peace, my friend." In her post, Potter mentioned how Fred's wife's faith had stood tall through the entire ordeal. This isn't just lip service, but an important detail of the life of this family and of how they got through it all. The Brazzles were a religious Christian family, but with a distinctive view of death and tragedy. Kate Brazzle, his wife, was heard to say that she and her husband never taught their sons to be afraid or even overwhelmed by death. "I tell them we are here as tools for God. God knew that Daddy was a really strong person, and there were some people God couldn't reach unless he used Daddy as a tool. That's how he went with it and how he justified it. That's what we believe." It was this perspective on life and death that Fred Brazzle carried during his struggle, that while you are fighting for your life, you do it for a reason, and his reason was grounded in his love for his family. Kate also said, "Fred's mission in life was to reach people and bring them to God and just smile. There was nothing he didn't fulfill in life because he lived his life to the fullest every single day. He fulfilled everything he needed to do here on Earth. We're just really proud of him and how he fought. It was perhaps because of these lessons and how they instilled them in their boys that they reacted the way they did. Some parents wanted to shield their children from experiencing the struggle of life, but Fred and Kate weren't like this. Their boys, Mason and Milan, were not shielded from any of the medical procedures their father went through, and they were with him every step of the way. They knew that their father was very sick, and they went with their parents to all of the medical appointments that their father had to endure, being as much there as he had to be. They were allowed into his struggle for as long as he needed them. One could argue that because of this, there wasn't an extreme sense of shock when the end finally came. Kate Brazzle said her boys, who were only 5 and 8 years old at the time of their father's death, had not cried once as a family. They got to experience it together, and so they were viewing it, in Kate's words, much differently than people who got a devastating blow. But devastating it was all the same, at least for Kate. Only 4 months after the funeral, Kate and her 2 sons were going to travel across the country from their home in Colorado Springs, Colorado to Virginia on a private trip. However, Kate already knew that it wasn't going to be direct, as they had to make a stopover in Boston. On November 20th, the family did a quick stopover in Arlington National Cemetery, the final resting place of their husband and father, Staff Sergeant Fred Brazzle. In her own words, Kate said that she cried the entire 24-hour drive to Arlington. Whereas they were composed in previous instances, the weight of the situation finally settled in on that drive over because, she said, it felt like he could still come home. As a military family, we spent so much time apart that a part of me felt like he would still come home from this deployment. But I felt better leaving because now we know what to expect. I've spoken to a bunch of other Gold Star families, and they say these visits don't get easier, but they'll be different each time. But anybody could forgive her for not expecting what happened next. Her sons, Mason and Milan, were so comfortable with the opportunity to reconnect with their father, they treated the experience like a loving family get-together. Milan, the younger brother, told his mom that upon approaching the headstone, he believed he could feel his father with him and also that he wanted to take a nap with him. Mom brought out the blankets and captured on camera the moment when Mason and Milan lay down with their father's gravestone, just like they would with the man himself. Milan dozed off while his older brother prayed next to him. Kate decided to step back and let the special moment happen naturally. The boys weren't imagining that their father was still alive, but they felt like being close to his gravestone was a real way to stay connected to him. It made them feel closer to their dad and maybe helped them feel better about his passing. As the day went on, Kate watched over them while they lay on the blanket. They talked to their father about what they'd been up to lately, like learning new swimming techniques, earning belts in martial arts, and even winning prizes at a Halloween party. They shared their achievements with their dad, just like they used to. It was a mix of happiness, sadness, and beauty all rolled into one. But the nicest moment happened at the end. When they were about to leave, 5-year-old Milan said he had to do one more thing. He ran back to the headstone and hugged it goodbye, just like he used to hug his father. Sergeant Fred Brazzle raised his boys with love and confidence, and they will grow up better because he will always be in their lives. These young boys felt close to their father in a way that could even warm the coldest heart. What do you think of this heartwarming story? Let us know in the comments section. Thank you.